Fully sensitive and psychic people often struggle to explain what they do or believe, especially if to loved ones who might tease them about what they do. How can they better um, confront people or talk to people about what they do?
I always say keep it light because I was one of these huge dramaticists back in my early years of I took it all so personally and they were criticizing me because really you're talking about your religious beliefs and this very special and it's very private. But some people might I think usually people are just curious. We're all the same. We just want to know. And little teasing isn't going to kill any of us. But I think the best thing to say is if they ask a question, you can say, "That's a great question. Can you tell me more about what you want to know?" And they might say something silly or fun or whatever. And if they do, change the subject. Get good at that. So, I'd really rather learn more about what you're doing. And if we turn it back towards the other person, sometimes that can be the kindest thing. We are all stuck in our religious dogma in some way or another. And if you are let's say, a Wiccan, a New Ager, a Theosophist, whatever you are, and you're not in one of the mainstream religions, that can be very scary and threatening to people. And not in a bad way. Sometimes they're just concerned about saving your soul. And they're very serious about it, and they do that out of love. So we can't get all bucky about it and start screaming at them, well, you don't this and you don't that, because really, we're just trying to share information the best way we can. And I think keep it light and ask them what they really would like to know. Sometimes family members will say, well, I don't understand how you can believe that. And you can say, well, would you like to understand? Is there something that I can tell you about? And a lot of times it's hell no, I don't want to know anything about it. I just wanted you to know that I don't like it. And so what? That's somebody else's opinion. Change the subject and consider is this a long term relationship that you have with this person? You can be kind and you'll get better at it. I guarantee you just have to practice. And we can't take it so personally. That also is a practice.
Yeah, one thing that's left behind so often is the fact that you don't have to agree or believe the same thing. It's okay. You can love people with different beliefs than you. And the inner work, especially the spiritual stuff, is a very personal thing. So you don't have to have other people understand what you're going through for you to go through it.
That's true, but that is graduate level spirituality, understanding to not be offended by or want to fix or take something personally. It's hard to do. It really is. I end up feeling sad when I'm confronted with, I mean, literally confronted with people who very strongly believe in ways I do not and want me to know about it, think I should change. It makes me feel alone and sad. I feel that way. They're not making me feel that way. I feel alone. And a lot of times I can think, you're just flat ass wrong. I don't say it. Who knows if it's true? But we are really hardwired. Oh my God, from our childhood with these belief systems. And you're just not going to change somebody unless they change it within themselves, unless they have the experience. And that is what Maitreya has said. Don't chase after him. He's not a God. He is not to be prayed to. He is a world teacher. He's your brother. But don't chase after this person, but allow yourself to experience what he's saying, that we come here in kindness to share.
It's a really kind way of looking at it and thinking of it because it's not forceful.
No, and we're all just nuts. We really are. We do this wackadoodle stuff, and 40 years we'll look back at these times, at these tapes, and this and that, and go, oh my God, can you believe they said that or did that? That's just crazy. It's insane. But that's how we grow and we change. And a lot of this is cultural. So when you're talking to somebody else, you're talking to their 5-year-old inside of them, and they're talking to your 5-year-old. And 5 year olds can not get along a lot, or they can play and get along. I think the lighter I am with stuff, and the more I can intuit if that person is just scared and they have been told if they don't believe in a certain way, they're going to go to this proverbial hell, or they have to change everybody else because it's their job. You need to feel sorry for that. And I don't mean horrible pity, but have some compassion to know that that person is having a hard time. Are they right? Maybe for them they are. And that's what's hard about it. But once again, I think the best thing that you can do if someone is sincerely asking, you can say some things about what you believe, whatever your spirituality is, without making it a dogma. You can say, well, what I have heard is this, or this. You can say, well, some people think that this is true. And you can say that. So you take it out of the personal, take it out of yourself. So you're not attacking them and you're not saying, here I am with the answer to your questions. You can also say, it's written in some places that this is what is said and that is what is said. And then you can say, well, I think it's more interesting what you believe. Would you like to tell me some about that? But then be ready for what you're going to hear.
Willing to listen.
We have to do that. And it is a skill. It really is spirituality at graduate level. And I'm so old now that it's not on my agenda. But I tell you what, when I was in my school with theosophy and this worldview stuff that I do, the occult, it's scary to people because you don't hear it anywhere. It's not mainstream. It's not in the media. And so I really got myself into a lot of arguments and I took it so personally. Oh my God, I was such a drama queen. but I worked through it, but that was my way.
Why is the truth so scary to people?
It depends on what truth you're talking about, but the Tao Te Ching says that the truth is not fine sounding. In other words, it's going to create possibly some cognitive dissonance, which means we run into a brick wall that wasn't there a second before. Your whole world can change in a second. That is what that kind of awakening is, and it's a precious thing. Or not. It ruins lives and it creates lives. It's change, and what it does, it's a frequency resonance that you have bumped into, that if it is a good truth and a something out of maybe the ancient ways that has been lost, it can give you a peace of mind and an understanding about the times we are in and the value of kindness.
Yeah, it's interesting. People really seem to have willful ignorance where they'd rather stay stuck in the little lies rather than seeing the reality of what's happening right in front of them.
Well, I certainly do that myself, and I've done it a lot more in the past until Spirit basically hit me in the head with a 2x4. I literally had a couple experiences, and you'll laugh at this. I was sitting in a class. I used to go up to Tacoma to this channel. His name was Didi Carson's channel, Rajni. Not Rajneesh, but Rajni, and he taught physics and other things. And I was sitting there, and he said something. All of a sudden, I literally was knocked backwards like I was hit with a board. I couldn't believe it. And then it happened a couple weeks later. I was sitting at lunch with two gal friends, and bam, the same thing happened. That is how dense I can be. And Spirit was saying, when are you going to give up the ghost? And realizing that what we have been saying about this issue, Zoli, is your truth. You are programmed not to believe it. And that's with a 2x4 getting hit in the head with it, that it says you are programmed, all of you, me included. And I can guarantee you right now, this date that we're talking, in 2026, there are things I know that I believe that I am sure are true, which is absolute deceptively false. Do I know which things they are not? No, because my big fat ego would want to change them before I said it and outed it myself to you. So it's all progression. Like, would we really make fun of a 4-year-old who was saying, oh, there's the moon's alive, and the moon does this and that? We're going to say that's precious. That's where the 4-year-old is. But that's how we are to the greater gods and some of these beings out there that see us. We're that precious little 4-year-old, and we are loved, and we are nurtured, and we are adored, and we're a mess.
I like the analogy of being compared to a toddler. That fits. So why is it that we have some fears over others? Or why is it that why are we being programmed to have some fears over others?
Well, the times that we're in always do that, and the dogmas. And as we spoke last time, these dogmas in these religions that are absolute ridiculously false. I won't go into that. These are developed to control people, but also they might have been developed by priests or gurus or whatever to help people get past where they are. It's not all gloom and doom. Not all dogmas are horrible. They're going to kill you and ruin your life. Sometimes they're very, very appropriate for you to create a safe boundary between yourself and the world. There's always a reason in there. But what we do when we start growing on a path is we start wanting to get rid of everything that belonged to the path we were on before. And that's just human nature. It's like we're rebelling as teenagers. And it's quite funny. I've done plenty of that myself. Oh my God. You should have heard some of the dinner table discussions when I would go from Nashville back to Birmingham to be at one of my parents' parties. And they had these lovely, lovely dinners. They were elegant and beautiful and just wonderful. I was a fish out of water. I never looked right. I mean, I didn't fit in anywhere. It's just like whatever I can wear, I was just out there. I was a woo woo meister. And they thought I was fun and delightful, but nobody took me seriously. I was a fish out of water. But I presented to them another way of being, and they were loving and they were kind, and I was a silly fool. But I was also learning behaviors about getting along in the society that I lived in that I can use now. But those were dogmas, those were skills. But the society I was in back then, I don't want to live in hoity toity society. I escaped from that. I don't want the value system. But it served me at a time. Do you see what I'm saying? So these dogmas are developed to protect as well as to hurt and to control.
And people are starting to slowly awaken and become aware of them as time goes on.
Oh yeah, you remember that movie? I think it was Robin Williams, Awakenings. Was it Oliver Sacks who was the psychiatrist? And he had some sort of drug or therapy where people who were in a certain psychological decrepit state would awaken. And I think they found out that it was false. But that's what we're doing. We're slowly awakening. When I tell you that absolutely we are all on schedule and we are developing as a soul of humanity to someday, thousands of years in the future, to be gods on another planet. That you can have go on a certain path and you can become that. I mean, that sounds crazy. I know that's theosophy. I'm going to stop talking about it because it sounds really wackadoodle. We'll talk about that some other time. But there are 7 different paths that you work towards. Jesus, the Master Jesus, was on the path of sonship to be the Son of God. And so you can go on that path and you can go to another planet and do that. And it's a very complicated theosophical issue that I won't get into. But can you believe that we are going to be that and to be the crazy, fighting, arguing people we are now, worrying about where we're going to get a latte because the stand is closed? That's what we do. We're nuts. We're just all nuts and we're pointing at everybody saying how crazy they are.
So, what is the signature of awakening?
Oh, it's awareness. You know, we used to say uh, consciousness is part of reality or creates reality, but I think consciousness is reality. You can't separate it from that. And that is the time that we're in. There is just one soul of humanity, and there is a signature frequency of that, which is love, and which is the development of the psyche, of the spirituality, of the mind, the body, and the spirit, these vehicles they were given from one life to the next to move forward, to move upward. It's like when a kid is excited, they jump up and down, they're leaving gravity. Well, we're leaving gravity. And we're doing it in a way that our consciousness is going to soar, to grab onto the end of a shooting star and to go into other realities and frequencies with ease, without drug and alcohol and fake thing and starving yourself for 2 weeks. That can work. I mean, go ahead, knock yourself out. But these things are developing naturally with most people, and they hurt. It's hard. Awareness is hard because of the dogma, because of what we've been taught and our programming. When we're afraid, I mean, we have this reptilian brain, we have the amygdala, we have all this stuff, this neural stuff that gets shot out there into our bodies. And then we follow that because action follows thought and we think it's real.